Hey everybody! So I just watched May December and wanted to share my thoughts while this movie is trending. In this video I'll cover some character analysis and offer an overall review, so some potential spoilers here. May December is a good movie. Disturbing, yes, but wow, the performances here are incredible. Each of the three major characters offer a ton of depth, and this is all thanks to the acting, the writing, and the real-life source material. While watching May December, I noticed right away that it acts as an interesting case study of psychology, as the film opens a window into an abuser and the abused in the characters of Gracie and her husband Joe. Now, for those that don't know, May December is inspired from the story of a school teacher by the name of Mary Kay Letourneau and the controversial scandal of her sexual affair with an underage male student, who she came to marry after serving her time in prison. I knew nothing of the story before watching this movie, but I'm interested to learn more now because an exploration into her psyche would be wild. So the film follows the character of Elizabeth, who has taken on an acting role to portray Gracie Atherton, the film's version of real-life Mary Letourneau, in an upcoming indie film. Elizabeth spends ample time with Gracie and her family to learn what Gracie is like, and to better prepare for her upcoming role. Elizabeth joins the family for everyday events to get a taste of their lives and understand them better. She interviews much of Gracie's family, including her husband Joe and their three children, Honor, Charlie, and Mary, as well as Gracie's extended family from her previous marriage, to hear their portrayal of Gracie to better help Elizabeth with her understanding. We get a small glimpse into the damage that Gracie's actions have done to various members of her previous family, namely in that of her eldest son, Georgie, who Elizabeth gets a few interactions with. Assuming he was in his early formative years when he would have learned about his mom's crimes, we can see just how Gracie's actions probably changed the course of his life for potentially the worse. The film is a window into the effects of child grooming and sexual abuse, which we can see through Joe's character. Also present are the few psychological disorders in Gracie's character, with that of bipolar disorder, which I believe is her actual diagnosis, but others are presumably present. Gracie is indeed sociopathic and a child predator, but whether or not there are other signs of psychopathologies is just a matter of speculation here. Either way, this is definitely a great film for a bit of a psychological deep dive. The film's central characters are really the driving focus of this film here, and each of the three of them offer so much to this film with much to unpack. Starting with Gracie, she herself is super intriguing as a character in this film, as she is the centerpiece of the story. Over the course of the film, I felt Gracie to be like a puppet master of sorts. She strives for this picture-perfect sort of allure for herself, her family, and her environment, and upholds this allure through her own delusions. Whenever questioned on her past or of her wrongdoings, she's quick to brush it off with a smile, as if it was never an issue for her. It was fascinating to see this sort of denial exist in her so strongly about the gravity of her past decisions, or the effect she'd had on her husband, or even her past family. Another thing to note is how she exudes this subtle yet overpowering dominance each time she was on screen. She can be gentle, soft, and easygoing, but showcase a demanding and controlling nature at the same time. This is why I call her a sort of puppet master. She has total control of her environment through the subtle manipulative behavior she has, while maintaining the sense in herself and her surroundings that everything is fine and dandy. This exaggerated sense of well-being and self-confidence, as well as a flip-flopping emotional state to that of extreme lows and negative emotions, are observed in her character, and are in fact traits of bipolar disorder that we get to see in her character. Other such traits of bipolar disorder are poor decision-making behaviors that include risky sexual activity that fits the bill for her escapades with Joe when he was just a boy. Gracie offers this subtly terrifying element to her character that adds a whole other layer to her. With all this said on her, she is a very frightening predatory character for how much damage she can cause while genuinely feeling like she has done nothing wrong. A wolf in sheep's clothing, so to speak. Joe is a character who is equally interesting to observe as an individual, who had his adolescence basically taken from him so young. His emotional maturity and overall development are observed to be a bit stunted, and he doesn't come off as a real parental figure to his children as much as an older sibling. Even when seen with Gracie, he just seems like another of her kids. His oldest daughter, Honor, is in college, and the twins are about to graduate high school, while he is only in his mid-30s. He comes off as a bit reserved and socially withdrawn through the film, and lacks a certain level of agency for himself, as his life has been consumed by his relationship with Gracie and the responsibility of parenthood bearing down on him. Gracie tends to give Joe a number of responsibilities that maintain his sense of taking some action in his life, but he really has no life outside of what Gracie gives. He only has a bit of social interaction outside of his house. One scene with a neighbor and another with his father. But aside from that, he sort of seems like a zombie to an extent, passively going through the motions of life. The effects of Gracie's grooming on his psychology have really messed him up, and it's definitely sad to see. Joe sees Elizabeth's presence as a bit exploitative to his life as well, and his moments of anger or being upset are mostly brought up by the feelings that arise from this acknowledgement. Charles Melton did a good job in this role as Joe, capturing a stunted adult who showcases a weakness in his intellectual, emotional, and linguistic expression. A great touch to see for this role. Portman's performance is another major highlight in this film, as her role as Elizabeth is both captivating and uncanny, as she completely transforms into the character of Gracie as the film pushes forward, excellently capturing the physical and linguistic mannerisms that Julianne Moore brings flawlessly. Details down to the smallest subtleties are captured in Portman's performance in imitating Gracie's character. It's pretty cool to see. This film really excels in its symbolism as well. Examples include several scenes that have Elizabeth standing beside or behind Gracie that allude to shadowing her as symbolism to Elizabeth's transformation into Gracie for her upcoming role in playing as her. Another scene even has her and Gracie sitting next to a mirror where you'd think the reflection should show Elizabeth, but instead Gracie appears, indicating Elizabeth becoming a reflection of Gracie. It's a very cool effect. This element to the film was reminiscent to me of Bergman's 1966 film Persona, as likewise in that film the two lead actresses seemingly merge into one. However, that occurs in a much more convoluted way than we see here in May December. Elizabeth takes on a method approach to acting as Gracie that has her step beyond some emotional and even ethical boundaries during her time with Gracie's family, only adding gas to the fire of this family's already ever-present trauma. This made her true intentions here unclear to me. Despite her being asked by Gracie's family members throughout why she's taken on this role or what she hopes to achieve through it, Elizabeth always assures them she wants to deliver something true and real. But after some of her actions, I couldn't help but feel her intentions were exploitative. By becoming just like Gracie through the film, she was able to manipulate Joe, and thus becoming predatory just as Gracie is, and she felt no guilt over her actions for doing so. There were a few key moments that I felt really tried to hammer home the idea that Elizabeth's intentions through the film truly were exploitative, and that she was no better than Gracie by the end, but this film allows for lots of speculation. Overall, May December was an excellent and fascinating watch, as it allows us a window to explore the interesting psychology within the characters of the story, exposing us to the everlasting effects of trauma and emotional abuse. It delivered excellent performances, strong writing, and an intriguing subtext of media exploitation symbolized through Elizabeth, which is fitting, seeing as this film is inspired by very real events involving very real people, and I'm sure this film is only going to resurface some negative feelings for the real people this is based on. Though this is a film dealing with some touchy subject matter, I would declare this film as a must-watch for those looking to get a real good character piece. I'd rank May December as a 9 out of 10. With that, I'd like to say thank you for watching, like and subscribe if you're new here, and I'll see you in the next one.